Hello and welcome to Paranormal Nation Radio, Not So Normal. Tonight, Denise and Ron won't be on here with me. Rex is coming on as my co-host tonight. Denise and Ron are in Alabama with their family on vacation, getting moved in. The kids moved into their new house. So as soon as Rex is set up, we got a good picture of his tattoo on his arm in color. And froze. Oh, there you are. Okay. Don't move your hand so fast in front of your camera.
Okay.
You want to shut your phone off?
Yep. There we go.
Okay, we'll try that. We'll let
We good now?
Yeah, you're good. You were. It's called Paranormal, folks. His camera over there is off. So, but we do have some guests on here down in the green room. I'm waiting for Rex to get back on here and stuff. And, but everybody, thanks for joining us tonight. See who's in the comments here with us. And Rex is coming back on. Hi, Cassie. Yeah.
I'm back.
On your phone?
No.
No.
On the tablet.
Oh, okay. So we good to go now, right?
I hope so. Yes, we're good to go.
Hello, Temple of Phoenix Rising Entertainment. Thank you for joining. And we are live over on the Temple of Phoenix Rising Entertainment Facebook page, Things Network Facebook page, and the Bill of Rights Network Facebook page. So check out all of them. Hello, Lorna. Like I said earlier, Denise and Ron are in Alabama, and they're on vacation helping their kids get moved into a new house. So she didn't have a show last night, and she said she wasn't going to be on tonight. And I said, that's fine. We got it covered. We always have it covered. So
absolutely.
So how you been doing, Rex?
I'm doing pretty good. The braces come in, and they're working out very well.
Good.
They're making a difference, that's for sure. I'm not worrying about the knee bending inwards and being bone on bone.
Right.
So it's taking some getting used to because you have to really strap them down.
Oh, I'll bet.
They got to be very tight. And I think I'm going to adjust it one more because you can adjust one side or the other. Right. And mine is pushing the knee in so it's not bone on bone.
Right. Hello,
but I think
Julie.
I need to up it one more.
Hello. Welcome, Living Dead Diaries. We thank you for joining Paranormal Nation Radio. Thank you.
Hi, Julie.
But
Julie, thanks for being here.
Yeah, haven't seen Julie in here for quite a while. I'm glad she's back watching. But yeah, those braces are going to help you out because I know later on this fall you're supposed to have surgery, right?
After I go to Iowa City and they can get the liver and spleen thing under control, I mean, I got to get my platelets up past 48.
Right.
They're supposed to be at 140.
Well, you got a long ways to go.
Yeah. And I'm still not getting any answers, but that's why Iowa City took it over, and I'll be there September 14th. I go in.
Well, that's coming right around the corner.
Yes, it is.
That is coming right around.
I can't wait.
So anyway,
yes,
we have a couple of guests down here in our green room with us tonight. You want to tell our listeners a little bit about them?
Yes, I honestly happily do. Tonight I have Traveler's Moon with us, which is my son, Chris, and his lovely lady, Kelly. And they were so gracious to join us tonight, and I can't wait. It'll be a lot of fun. So I guess without further ado, here they are.
Welcome, Chris and
Oh,
Kelly.
damn. We're on a screen.
Hey.
What's up, everybody?
You're live worldwide because Julie's in Australia.
Yes.
So
Oh,
we go live all over the world on this network. So how are you kids doing?
I don't know if I could go with those spiders. I don't know.
Army really
He
wants
can
to
tell you a lot about them spiders, and out there in Australia, you got to remember, if you go outside your door in the outback, everything out there is to eat you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Pretty much. But so, how are you kids doing tonight?
Oh, super good.
Good.
For the most part. I'm recovering sick, and in natural order things, I've given it to Kelly, but we got it to her early in the week because we're off to Sault Ste. Marie in a couple days. So.
Fighting diligently to not get as sick as everybody else did. So
Good.
try it.
Now, I know you used to do paranormal investigations with your dad.
Yeah.
And stuff. Are you still doing any of that now?
Not recently. So he's been on a little bit of hiatus with his legs. We were actually just last year at the Waverly Hills Sanatorium, which is, I think that was a pretty cool bucket list check off for the both of us.
That's definitely
for sure. For about 15 years, and we had some kid with us, and he was like 15. I'm like, I've been waiting to get in here longer than you've been alive, son.
Yeah,
exactly.
Well, since you was at Waverly Hills, you know all the stuff that's going on at Waverly Hills.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
with Ernie and all them people out there, right, trying to save it from the board. So yeah, that's a big deal over on Things Network and everything. Ernie Pack's been on there several times talking about it and stuff. So, folks, if you can go over to Save Waverly Hills page and see what's going on, and if you can donate to help them, that'd be great.
Yeah, please do.
But you was out at Waverly Hills. So was you on an overnight investigation or a daytime?
So that was an overnight.
Overnight.
Yeah. So I knew that Chris had wanted to get out there for a very long time. So I had originally planned a trip to Waverly for his birthday. It was going to be a surprise. And COVID happened.
That bitch named Rose.
Right. So we got an opportunity to reschedule that, thankfully. So it was us and a handful of our friends that are also very good investigators. And so it was nice. I mean, we had, I think there was 11 of us total. And yeah, we spent the entire time there. And at 3:00 when they came around and said, hey, you guys got an hour left, there was panic that set in because we had not got anywhere near through all of it. So yeah, definitely need a return trip eventually.
Well, that's good. That's good. So, what other places have you been to in the last couple of years?
Oh my gosh.
Oh gosh. So, and this is no particular order. So last weekend we were at the Squirrel Cage Jail in Council Bluffs, Iowa. Before that, the Farrar Schoolhouse in Farrar, Iowa, which if nobody knows where that's at, that's totally fine because that's
it's a speck of a town.
You use the word town liberally.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
And stuff.
We have been to Villisca and Melbourne and Edinburgh, Mason House, Cambry House,
Lent Mansion, Vicksburg.
Different sites around New Orleans, Oak Alley Plantation, Trans-Allegheny, Ohio State Reformatory. Didn't technically get to investigate those, although we
had daytime investigations.
Yeah.
It was one of those for everybody who's been to Ohio State Reformatory. They let you in for the tour.
Right. Right.
Yeah, they let you in for the tour, and you get to basically wander
around on your own.
Well, you was in Council Bluffs at the Squirrel Cage Jail. You know, there's only 3 of those in the United States.
Yeah, and that one is the tallest.
Yep.
Yeah. Do you know where the other 2 are at?
Indiana and Illinois, I think.
I'm not sure where the second one is. The third one is. Yeah.
I can tell you exactly. It's 4 blocks away from me.
Oh, really?
I live in Gallatin, Missouri.
Gallatin, Missouri. All right.
And is that the one that's still functional, or is it the one in Indiana?
No, it's not functional. It's a
be working in
museum
Indiana
and
then.
it was actually working up until 1976.
Oh wow.
Okay. I knew when they gave us the brief tour, they said that one of the three was still operational, meaning the jail would still actually turn. So that
Right.
must
This
be
one,
Indiana
this
then.
one doesn't. So the other one I think out there does.
Yeah, neither does.
This one they'd like to get it fixed up, but it cost about $80,000
Oh, I can't
Oof.
even think.
to get it back on its axis and get all the gears and everything and stuff.
Yeah. Well, Council Bluff was actually decommissioned to function the way that it was built because they ran long enough that the fire admins came in and said, this is completely unsafe. You can't have it turn the way that it used to. So,
And that must have been a state thing because that's still 7 years prior
Yeah.
to 76.
so even before they closed, it stopped turning. They had to make it so only
Oh,
half
yeah.
the cells were accessible. They had to cut gates into each one so that the inmates could get in and out of the cells.
Right.
It could no longer spin. They had to take that out.
Right. See, ours up here goes way, way back, of course, in the early 1800s or mid 1800s. Frank James used to stay in it up here from Jesse and Frank James.
Okay.
He was the grand marshal for the horse races up here. So he would stay there in the Squirrel Cage jail. And of course, it's got the building attached to it, which was the sheriff's home and sheriff's office for a long time.
Okay. So is that one for you guys also like above the jail itself?
No, that's attached to the front of it.
Oh, it's to the side.
jail.
Which would make far more sense.
Oh,
than
yeah,
having
ton
to
more
trek your
sense.
family past
Well,
3
I'm
floors
gonna
to get
give me
out.
a second here, and I'm gonna pull it up.
Yeah, so the one in Council, for anybody who doesn't know what we're talking about, these 3 jails that we're talking about were actually built where the jail cells were a cylinder. And so each cell was shaped like a piece of pie. And there was, when they were originally built, there was one opening for the inmates to get in and out of the cell. And they had to actually spin the whole circle to get the cell that they wanted to the one opening so the inmate could get in and out.
It was a people vending machine.
It was. It's like one of those little food vending machines where it spins, you open the door, you grab what you want out of it.
Right. Okay. I will share this picture up on the screen to show you what ours look like. Ooh, let me get this up here and down here. There is our Squirrel Cage jail.
Okay.
See, you got the Squirrel Cage jail is in the Octagon building right there and stuff. And then the front building is the house and the sheriff's office that used to be there.
Oh, they had far
That makes
nicer
so
living
much more
quarters than our
sense.
family did.
Yeah, and it's easy to investigate and everything. You get a lot in there. You go in there on the walls, there's writing. We've had bank robbers in there and stuff. We've had the Banditos motorcycle gang in there at one time because their names are wrote up with the Bandino and all that on there. But we've caught blue and purple orbs in there. We caught a small apparition of somebody coming down the staircase. So, yeah, we've done a lot in that one up here. But, yeah. Now, what part of Iowa are you two in?
Cedar Rapids, so kind of central eastern.
Right. Yeah, I'm down here in Gallatin, which is 55 miles north of Kansas City.
All right.
Is where I'm at.
You're just in Kansas City.
Oh, really?
Yeah. There was a psychic.
Kansas City,
Kansas. Sorry. KCK. We were doing a convention in the. I keep wanting to say Alibaba, and it's not correct. Abdallah Shriners, like center in that area. So
yeah.
Oh, really?
So we were just down your neck of the woods.
About how long ago?
We just
2
got
days.
back. Yeah.
Yeah, no, we were there. We took off Friday. We got home late Sunday night. We are home for 2.5 days, and we take off again to go to basically Canada.
I wish I would have known that, kids. Okay,
Follow Traveler's Moon.
Well, I'll have to find you guys on there when we have special events down here. We were in Smithville, Missouri, which is just a suburb of Kansas City to the north, right?
Okay.
In a coffee shop watching the live premiere of Ghosts of Devil's Perch
Oh yeah.
with KD Stafford.
Okay.
He was there. He's a real good friend of mine. He's in the show. We did
Yeah.
a viewing of it down there in the coffee shop Sunday night.
Awesome.
Yeah. So if I'd known it was free, all you had to do was come by. You could have met KD and Katie both, and their new shaman that's with them and stuff. It was quite interesting.
We actually Friday. Well, not only were we driving to Kansas City, but we also had the premiere of our documentary that we just got completed. That was released Friday. So
Friday's day premiere.
it was definitely a busy day for us. But we're driving along in the car, hosting the premiere party, and yeah,
Well, that's
sharing it with
good.
everybody.
But yeah, we do a lot. And if you kids are ever back down in this, when I find you and add you to it, you're ever down in our area, I'll take you to our cemetery
Oh yeah, definitely.
because our cemetery sits out in the middle of nowhere. The nearest house is 2.5 miles away from it, right? So it's peaceful and quiet. There have been reports, and this even goes, the sheriff's department won't even go out there. They have seen the soldiers on horseback and Indians out there. But we're right in that area there. We're right in the middle of the Mormon Wars because Caldwell County was a big Mormon war era because they gave that county to the Mormons in 1836 and then eradicated them in 1838.
And they must
Okay.
have moved on to Nauvoo after that. Then
I
Yeah,
think they went-
well,
they-
at our cemetery, you go east 3 miles as the crow flies, and you're at the Hans Mill Massacre, where they massacred 17 Mormons. Rode in and shot men, women, and children, everything over that deal. But that's down in our neck of the woods. We went uh, July 30th. We were part of the Paranormal Giving Tree for veterans. And
so I was looking up a date because I know that one of the places that we mentioned that we go to quite often is the Cambry House and Farm, and that's located in Nauvoo, Illinois. And they also were a site of one of the largest Mormon wars
yeah,
that happened in all of
Mhm.
that. And that would have been, I believe, the last one before they got pushed towards Utah. But I was
Right.
trying to look
that
at
would have been probably in the late 1830s.
1839.
Yep.
1839 to 1846. So it must
See-
have been right after.
In 1838, some of them went to Atchison and some of them went to Indiana. The ones from Indiana went up through Iowa and were basically kicked out of there again, the big war, and then they all started filtering to Salt Lake.
Yeah, and Nauvoo's just across the Mississippi from Iowa, just
Right.
across from Fort Madison. So cool.
Yeah,
House.
it was a quite different time back then in our area around here. You not only had the Mormon Wars, you had the Frank and Jesse James gang up here in Gallatin. Of course, we got Squirrel Cage Jail, but we also have the old bank up here that they robbed and shot and killed the guy in. One of the only ones where they shot and killed a person is up here in Gallatin. So there's a lot of history up in this old town. But that cemetery down there, we have caught. Oh, let's see. Do I have the picture? Yes. I'm going to put a picture up on the screen. This was caught by a trail cam at our cemetery. What do you guys see?
I'd have to see a side by side for any. So what I'm guessing the lighter parts are is branches,
Yeah.
but whatever's causing the obscurity in the image itself, I'm guessing it looks like almost something moving rather quickly. I know those trail cams don't exactly have the
quick
the
shutter
fastest
speed.
shutter speed, but to have an image be completely blurry like that is kind of hard to say.
Okay.
Bounds, like an
Yeah.
animated bound.
You can't see my mouse on there, but if you close your eyes and open it up again, look for a horse. Do you see the horse's head and the mane?
I mean, I guess I could see what would be seen as a horse. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can also
You got
see,
the- I was going
You
to see
can-
where I'm pointing, but like the
Yeah.
bridge of the nose right there.
well, right there, that big branch in the over to the right 3/4 of the picture, the big bright branch.
Yeah.
If you look behind it, you'll see a leg riding that horse.
I can, you can kind of see that because it kind of cuts through whatever this image is. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, that was a still picture taken by a trail cam. Out there. I mean, it's something else. And the picture behind us, and I don't have it over here, do I? No, I don't. I got it in the background. The picture that's in the background behind all three of us was taken at that cemetery too.
Okay.
The camera, and you'll see all. I've had people say they see 13 spirits in it going around. So that's one thing. But yeah, the cemetery, we usually do in the fall, we do a camp out there where you'll camp out overnight at the cemetery.
Sounds like a good time.
Oh yeah, it is. We get out there. Well, the last time we was out there, July 30th, for 4.5 hours, we were live. You can find it on the Billerites Network Facebook page. We found a portal. Never anybody else had ever said anything about a portal being out there. And it was reported to be an Indian portal. So it made more sense because we have a lady that sees the spirits and everything when we're out there with us. And when we're out there, the timber that is on the two sides of us here, she sees the Indians in there watching us. And then down below in another pasture, they see a battalion of soldiers sitting around campfires. So it's interesting. I've heard the horses walking on the gravel road out there. I've heard the horses whinnying, and there's no horse anywhere near this cemetery, none whatsoever. After I heard that, we spent the next day and drove down every gravel road around there for 6 miles in any direction to see if there was a horse anywhere, and there wasn't. So Rex, what kind of questions you got for the kids tonight?
Well, I want each one of you. I know Chris's story, but it's what was your first paranormal experience?
Well, you go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, that's
you're
you.
the one with
That's
the
you.
definitive story. I don't have a definitive story.
You kind of do. You say the same thing every time the question gets asked.
I do.
Don't make me separate
You're
you
supposed
two.
to.
I honestly don't know what start. I mean, there wasn't like one pivotal moment that got me started in all of this. I was raised by a mom who had an interest in the paranormal, so it's always been something that we've talked about. Scary movies was something that was around. We would go out as teenagers, and she'd take us out to places that were dark and scary and spooky. And probably my first experiences was when we were 10 and we moved, and we went from a house that had nothing that I remember to multiple spirits that lived there with us. So it was just little things. It was like having a roommate that I couldn't see. Things would move. We'd hear footsteps. We'd hear furniture moving in different rooms. We'd see shadows cross rooms. But I didn't have like that definitive thing like you did.
That's weird because I don't know, like, in the grand scheme of things, like what really got me into this was a culmination of things. But yeah, there was a singular experience. So growing up, mom and dad are separated, and honestly, I feel like we spent as much time with grandparents as we did our parents. And to this day, for some reason, and I don't think it's for some reason, I think it's just kind of the family's relationship that ended up developing with the spirits of the house. That to this day, my grandparents' house growing up is one of the most active places I've ever been. And this has been, a while doing this now. It's been, all over the country, tons of locations. And it all started with this kind of singular experience. I was with, it was a dad weekend, and dad had to go into work early for some reason. I can't remember why. I was about 8 at the time. So he drops me off at grandma and grandpa's house, and it's like 4 in the morning or so. So he's like, "Hey, don't be a little shit and wake up the grandparents. You got to be real quiet. You hear me?" No, it probably wasn't quite like that. But to give you an idea, kind of how I saw what I saw when I saw it. When you walked to my grandparents' house, it was you go straight into the dining room. Parallel to that were the stairs that went up to the second floor, or you could just immediately take a right into the living room, which is where I was at the time. And I'm a spazzy little 8-year-old, so I'm tossing, I'm turning, I'm not falling back asleep. And I roll over, and from where I'm at, I can see the bottom of the stairs. And it was weird. It was super clear. It was just like I'm, seeing this monitor in front of me right now. There's this little boy, and he was just hunkered down on the stairs. He was looking at me. So naturally, I did the universal 8-year-old defense, which is toss blankets up over my head, because that's the universal protection for everything. And normally with these types of stories, it's always very quick. You hear it, it's like, oh, I saw it and real quick, oh, it was gone. And that fortunately and unfortunately wasn't the case for 8-year-old me. I was brave enough after a few minutes to pull the blankets down from over my head, and sure enough, he was still, sitting right there looking at me, and threw the blankets up over, and I didn't move again until I knew Grandma and Grandpa were out of bed. And that's something that's always just kind of stuck with me. But that house being as active as it was, I also grew up in an environment where it wasn't a scary thing. It was, Grandma always had this story of she saw these little dirty footprints on this old blue Persian rug of hers, and instead of being scared, there's these random child footprints. It was, damn it, stop messing up my carpet. It wasn't something to be afraid of. It was something to just interact with like you do the rest of the family. And I think that's kind of what turned this into something I could look to as something cool, be fascinated by, not something to be afraid of.
Right. Did you ever research it to find out who the kid was?
So the history of the house is tricky. The building itself was the parsonage for the church next door, which means it was also a funeral home. The basement had a temporary morgue in it. So figuring out who specifically this was would have been like, and I'm sure at some point I could probably get around to it, but countless hours of searching through records of just figuring out who would have been shown at this particular funeral home. We did, however, get a little bit of a follow-up where, you fast forward 10 years, it's been my dad, my brother, and I investigating for a while, and finally decided to ask, hey, I saw a little boy over there when I was really young. What's his name? And we got this EVP almost right away, super clear. Said his name was Greg. So that's a lead.
Well, that's good. That's interesting. Because, most kids have what they call pretend friends.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But now, as we grow up, we think back, and as we paranormal investigate, we're wondering if they weren't pretend parents, that they were spirits.
Right.
And that's a pretty common thing because kids don't know that they're not supposed to see them. So they see them just like another kid and they want to play with them. It's not until we get older and we start being taught logic, and I use that term loosely, that
because not a whole lot of people are able to exercise it.
we're not supposed to see it, you know?
Right.
That's when people stop seeing them.
Well, that's when some people stop.
No, yeah.
Some continue on with the gift
Oh yeah.
stuff. You know,
Yeah.
it's just like, well, if Denise and Ron were on here, you would hear Denise's story. And I'll wait sometime when she's on to tell you guys because it's an amazing story. And she never gave up the gift. The gift stuck with her.
And we actually both still have abilities that have come and went, I guess, for me as I've grown. But so I am a psychic medium, so I'm able to see them, to feel them, sense them, communicate directly with them.
Oh, really?
He is a clairvoyant, so he's able
If you want to throw that label
see
on
them.
it. So
yeah,
it's kind of carried over. I got scared when I was little and I shut it down, and you hang out with the right people long enough, eventually you become a little weird yourself, and it kind of allowed me to reopen up, that aspect of myself, because I saw him when I was 8, and now we go on investigation, and it's a little weird because I'll have people come up and like, so are you seeing anything? And I'm like, why do you care what I'm saying right now?
You don't want to know what I'm saying, but yeah,
because I can shut it on and off. It's been an interesting little kind of growth process.
yeah.
it is. Now, one of these times, I'll have to get you on here when we're down at the cemetery, because now, well, we did it a lot during COVID where people couldn't get out to investigate in
Right.
different places. We now do a virtual investigation where I use StreamYard. You'll be on the screen. My camera will be on there, but you won't see me. It'll be turned around on my phone. You'll be looking at what I look at. And you'll walk around investigating with us. That's how we do that.
Oh yeah. And honestly, I love those live stream investigations. Usually, if we're not able to, like, we host quite a few events over the course of a year where we actually bring people in to, check out the locations with us. If we can't, I do really like that streaming aspect, because I think with the paranormal field, there's a lot of ability for people to go like, that's bullshit. That came through in editing. And when you live stream like that, there's no
editing on it.
exactly. There's no room for the bullshit unless you're ready to do it in real time. And I don't know about anybody else, but I don't have the capabilities to do that.
Well, with her abilities, being able to communicate and see them and stuff like that, see, that's part of the virtual investigation, because you're looking through the eye of the camera.
Mhm.
There. Another thing you do if you're watching a live investigation, turn on your closed caption. You would be surprised of what the words come across there and everything, because Facebook or YouTube's algorithm, through their captions, they don't pick up words correctly. We've had people with our equipment, we're using the Echo Box or Necrophonics or the Spirit Box, talking, and it'll say something, it'll come up in the closed captions of an actual name of a person. So that's one thing we have found out that we're trying and working with that way. But what equipment do you guys use when you go?
So first and foremost, for me, my tool is myself. I will make sure that I get to do a walkthrough, kind of feel things out before I ever pick up a piece of equipment, other than maybe a flashlight.
And even that's about 50-50, which is very concerning.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
But I think we use a lot of the typical equipment that everybody else does.
Yeah. So, for our visual, it's, standard camera, full spectrum camera. We've got a DVR system that we'll set up throughout the location. The ITC devices, we like to experiment with those. So we have like our go-to. So we'll use Necrophonic, Spiritus. I've been playing with, so Keith Weldon, the developer of Necrophonic Spiritus, all that stuff. He just recently came out with one called EVP Shifter, which plays more with the idea of an EVP like through ITC, like an EVP through ITC. So basically, the white noise it develops is completely contorted phonemes. Like it's not meant for that instant response like we get with most ITC stuff. But anecdotally, we haven't found anything too much yet. But like to play through an EVP session with that playing, he said he's found a lot of cool results where to his ear it sounded like absolute garbage, but what came through was actually a very intelligent response. So
Right.
playing with random stuff like that, and then we've got our REM pods. We've got a custom made music box by Vortex Ghost Gear, which works the same as the traditional Ghost box, but it has our logo on it, which is fun.
Yeah. Well, you check out Supernatural Inc. KD Stafford. They
Oh
call
yeah,
him the mad scientist, right? I've got one of his new ink box deals, and we've used it several times here lately, and it's really amazing. It's based on your PSV7 and stuff like that, but you don't hear the that noise in it.
yeah. It
That gives me a headache.
Mhm.
yeah. Per my understanding, actually, I'm looking at those portal devices. I've got a rough understanding at this point, and sometime in the future, there's probably going to be a Traveler's Moon portal that comes out. But from the sound of things, you run your ITC device through a gate, which you run through then reverb into an amplifier, and it'll cut out that static and give you those
Right,
voices, which is
right.
very exciting.
Now, what kind of tape recorders do you use?
So there is this, and I can't think of the model right off the top of my head, but it was Sony. We've been using it like since day one.
Right.
And that's been the go-to. I've got a reel-to-reel from 72, I believe, that I'm waiting to pull the trigger on spending the 42.
Try that
for the reel.
because I've heard so much about that it picks up really good on that metallic tape,
Oh yeah.
But I'll tell you another thing, and Denise and Ron have been experimenting with this, and it's working real good. Take a laptop with you, right? And of course, if you use Audacity as your software editing, turn your computer on and turn the Audacity on and record with it. Your microphone in your laptop is more sensitive.
Oh.
Denise does that, and she has picked up what she says is EVPs. And she's not a big person on EVPs because she can hear the spirit, so she don't need them. But that Ron is like me. I don't have any gifts at all, other than I walk into a place and my hair stands up on my arms, and I go, "Okay, something's here."
You see, that's part of it, though. That's
You know,
we very much
but
believe the idea everybody's got it. It's just a matter of how much of you kind of tap into it.
exactly. Well, it's like my co-founder on our paranormal team. It's my pastor. He's retired. He's 70, turning 77 years old and everything. And he goes everywhere with me. But he has picked his gift up tremendously in the last 2 years and everything to where he can almost see them. He's working on that. But the way he feels and hears things, especially with his hearing aids. The spirits love playing with his hearing aids. He will have them in, and they're the high dollar hearing aids. They're like $500 a piece. They're the real nice. They're actually the ones you use for hunting. Okay. He'll be sitting there and go, ow, it turned it all the way up to high volume and stuff. Or he'll go, well, they threw it out, and we'll have to look around for it because they'll throw them out of his ear. And then another thing we picked up, and I don't know if you guys do this or not, you know how if you get into a haunted location, your batteries on your equipment go down real quick.
Oh yeah.
Okay. We have came up with an idea, and a lot of them, I've been told, are using this now. Take you a bag of batteries and set them around. Just the batteries. They'll draw the juice out of those batteries before they draw it out of your equipment. Little power banks, charge them up and set them around.
Okay.
And see how fast they drain down.
It's like a slightly less aggressive EM pump.
Yeah.
I remember those back in the
days.
days.
We pull them out of the bag to see if they work, but
Right. But back like we was talking about the apps, the two apps, and I stand behind the two apps, is EchoBox 3 and Necrophonics.
Yeah.
The reason for that, Denise, she does data for a big telephone company. She writes data. Okay. She has tore into those apps. There are no words whatsoever in those apps. They cannot make a word, is how they're designed.
Oh
yeah, we've actually talked pretty extensively with Keith on a lot of this, and we had Keith on our podcast just kind of talking about the different applications that he had available, and the Spiritus and Necrophonic. That's absolutely a huge reason that we opted to go with those, because you can have it on a device that has absolutely no service. So there's no Wi-Fi, no cell phone data, nothing, no GPS that's on there. It can be an absolute, other than having to be charged, the phone can have nothing on it, you know?
Right.
And yeah, we talked to him pretty in depth about the fact that there are no words. There's only phonetic sounds. It has to be strung together. And the thing that sold me on the Spiritus, because this, I actually found Spiritus pretty shortly after he put it out, I think. Because I am medium, I can hear the spirits speak directly. And we would be out on investigations, we'd ask questions, and I would hear them answering with my ability and hear the answer come out of Spiritus. And it's like, there's no way that I can deny that application works. So, and just, we've had too many times of valid, relevant answers, responses that come out of those devices. We're still very picky about what we use and what we support, but we've got our vote for sure.
But I mean, yeah, and you know, for a device that can't make a word, but yet it'll spit out a sentence,
right,
and in different languages, because we've gotten German, we've gotten French. We had Cherokee on there one time. So, yeah,
I've had it where it's come out backwards, and on my software I can spin it back around, and it's quite interesting.
Oh yeah.
But the Echo Box, I think it was the first time I was on here. Carl told me about it, and he shows me it on his phone. So he turns it on, and he asks, "Can you tell us who the guest is on our show?" And it said Rex Nielsen, back to back.
Yeah.
Twice.
See, what I used to do when I started Paranormal Nation Radio a few years ago is I'd have the Echo Box running with a speaker, right? And show it on the camera. And I would ask the Echo Box to answer questions in the chat room. And it would start answering questions in the chat room without me asking them.
The app is worth it. There's no two ways about it.
It is.
Fantastic.
And I was on one show here doing it that night. Oh, this has been 2.5 years ago, when I was on another network before I created the Bill of Rights Network. And I had the Echo Box going, and I was using my dowsing rods. And a veteran friend of mine in Denver was listening. And she got in there and started asking questions about her brother-in-law that they couldn't find. The Echo Box and the dowsing rods combined together the next day led her and the Ranger Patrol to his body up there.
Wow.
It told her, the Echo Box, it was talking, and I mean, it was just going crazy. and it told her, you have been there before. At the fork, turn right. At the fork, turn right. Well, they kept going down the left path where he always went. This time he went down the right path and was down there about 75 yards and stuff. And of course, he was deceased and everything and been that way for 3 weeks.
Wow.
So that was validation in one way or another and different things. But there again, using the apps, when I'm on an investigation, even at the cemetery, I'll go out with the echo box and I'll ask different questions, but I have a series of usually 4 questions that are put in at different times. Then when I come back, I'll switch it and go out with necrophonics and ask questions. But during that question session, I'll ask those 4 questions again. And then I do it with the ink box the same way. Then when I come back and go over all the recordings and see what comes through on those questions.
Excuse me, sorry.
And if I can get 2 out of the 3 or even all 3 of them to validate, that just shows more proof. Because there's no way that could be programmed into it at that time.
Yeah. One of the other ITCs that we have that we like is, and again, this one requires a computer instead of a phone, but Phasmabox has been pretty phenomenal.
Yep. Yep.
The downside of that is you have to carry along a computer instead of a phone.
Yeah, you carry around a laptop, which I used to do when I first built my first SLS system. I had my laptop and the camera hooked up for the SLS on it. Well, that got to be a real pain and heavy to carry around.
Oh, yeah.
And so we did go out and purchase a regular SLS camera with a 11-inch tablet on it and stuff. And we're doing a lot of experimenting with it.
Mm-hmm.
And especially at the cemetery. We know the headstones will make a stick figure. That's no big deal. We got that. But when a stick figure appears and it's crawling across the grass, there's nothing there to make a stick figure. Nothing at all. So we're kind of working with that a little bit. So you guys do a podcast.
We do. Yeah, we were with Paranormal Buzz Radio. We're on a bit of a hiatus right now. So my previous job basically had it, so I wasn't able to be there on normal scheduled slots. But yeah, we're working with our producers right now, looking probably to make a return next maybe couple months. We got a busy couple months coming, so we don't want to commit to anything.
We're good
for sure, but yeah, we missed the process and all the cool people we get to talk to for it.
Well, that's great. You know, Rex never told me that you guys had your own podcast.
I was waiting for the right moment.
Yes, I know.
Yeah, we did it for a year and a half or so.
Yeah, the first season about a year and a half.
Pretty steadily, and then like he said, his job just kind of switched hours and
had me up at like 3 a.m., which means an 8 p.m. podcast is cutting into bedtime.
Right.
Oh yeah, it does. Believe me, I know.
But now we're both back on pretty normal schedules. I think once our crazy travel schedule slows down, we will be able to get back to this fairly regularly again.
But we're up to, let's see, we've got 7, 1, 2, 3, 4. We got 11 shows on our network right now.
Awesome.
And
I'm not sure how many shows are on Paranormal Buzz right now. I know there's a large number of shows that are on there. We're just one of the many. The producer and owner, Shay Carroll, she does absolutely amazing job of running everything and taking care of everybody. So again, plug, if you guys have not followed Paranormal Buzz Radio, please be sure.
Hey, that's all right. That's great, because that's what we do on these shows. We plug out other shows because we're live over on Things Network and Phoenix Rising Entertainment Network over there, our paranormal networks. Things has got like 22 shows on there and stuff, and we were invited to be one of the shows over on their network. So we're proud to put out all the networks anywhere because people enjoy what I like about this now. I don't know how you guys do your podcast. We use StreamYard on ours. I can do so much more with it. And it's easy. I mean, just push a button, boom, 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 boom. That's why on all our shows over at the network, I'm either one of the hosts or a co-host, or I'm down in the green room running the show in the back screen. But StreamYard has started producing so many podcasts out here because people are tired of hearing them on Mixler or Speaker, right? They want to see them face to face. And that's why Paranormal Pride is over on the Bill of Rights Network now. Denise has done a radio show for over 7 years. This is the first time, besides being part of my Paranormal Nation radio show, that her show has went live with video. And Dave, hopefully by the end of the week or first of next week, we'll be live broadcasting over on our website. So, yeah. And that's one thing we like about going over there. We don't have to worry about Facebook or YouTube at all. So,
Hi, Jane.
hello, Jane. I took us off Twitch because we had that little person over there. That's all I say. Yeah, we get a lot of them. I get tired of Twitch. So how long, Kelly, how long have you been in the paranormal? How long has your gift been going on?
So my ability started when I was a little girl. I didn't really know that I had abilities. I just kind of assumed everybody knew things the way that I knew things. So that part of it has always been there. Like I said, my mom started taking us out to different locations, visiting cemeteries, probably single digit ages. But it wasn't until late teens, early 20s that I officially joined my first paranormal team and started being a little bit more serious about it. Can you get in?
Barely.
But yeah, so I've been doing this for longer than I want to admit.
Right. That's all right. But you said your mom used to take you to these places. Now, was your mom into the paranormal? Did she have gifts?
Yes, she does. I don't know that she even recognized the gifts that she had as much as she did until she ended up having a daughter whose gifts were coming out, and she had to help me try to figure out how to figure them out and deal with them and manage them. It helped her also look back on her path through life up to that point and go, oh, maybe there's more to this than I realized. You know, she always knew she had a little bit of that intuition there, but I think she's more comfortable now admitting that she has intuition than she probably would have been prior to having to go through all of that. But yeah, definitely something that runs in the family. But just like Chris and I have different abilities, and me and Mom and I have a little bit different abilities. Everybody has things just a little different. So.
Oh yeah, you got to, because that's what's funny, and we always talk about this. Is you get 3 or 4 psychic mediums in one investigation.
Mm-hmm.
I like putting them in a room, the 4 of them, and then bring them out and interview each one separately to see what they seen or heard.
Yeah.
Because everybody hears different, everybody sees different.
Yeah. And we've had that before, that we'll investigate with people who have abilities, or even when I was learning how to use my gifts, that I'd be working directly with another medium and she'd hear something and I wouldn't, or I'd hear something and she wouldn't. And it's just like, I always kind of described it like making a phone call. That person's going to reach out to the person that they want to, and that's the person who's going to hear them.
Right, right. Well, that's like Denise and Ron. When we go investigating with them, the day before, usually the investigation, the spirits from that location go to Denise and tell her what to expect when we get up there.
Mm-hmm.
They've done that several times. Denise and Ron, they were tour guides for 7 years at the Sally House.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I helped them for a year up there as a tour guide. And we've been to Melbourne 4 times up there. Villisca Axe House, I've been there twice. Let's see, where else? Ashmore Estates in Ashmore, Illinois. I've been over there twice now and stuff. So, yeah, it's different.
Yeah,
Mhm.
definitely.
Dad's just kicked back.
No, I was Chambers home. I think this is the first time AOP's been together in a long time. But he's got a class he's got to take, so
Right,
he's got to go up and be in a private area, and it's from 6 to 7:30. So
right. But so when did? Okay, I know you and your dad and your brother all were paranormal investigators together. When did your group? When did you guys start your own group?
It would have been 2011.
yes,
Yeah, 2011. And then Jay moved out, then I moved out, and I started in the least homeless way possible, living in a camper, which I was in a campground management for quite a few years, which had me basically traveling the country full time, and start doing some kind of solo stuff from there, doing AOP stuff when I could. And then 2020 rolled around, and
We started investigating more 2019, just seemed to be going to a lot of the same places, or one or the other of us would have an opportunity to go someplace where, like, hey, you should come with. So we probably investigated for a year together before year and a half, pretty regularly before we decided, hey, let's make this officially a team. And
Right. Well,
and
it's a good thing that both of you are into it. We don't see very many couples anymore into the paranormal. And
yeah,
yeah,
can't think of too many.
no, and it just worked, you know. I mean, we've been friends since we reconnected. I don't know. We've tried to figure this out 7-8 years ago. Rex, do you remember what year it was you guys came to the expo for the first time?
I think it's got to be 2012, 2013, because
because that was our very first.
Yeah.
We had the armchair set up at the booth, and it had the straight jacket on it, which would have been, I guess that might have been 2014. Because my first long stint in Edinburgh, we didn't have the straight jacket. It was the second one around.
Second time, yeah.
So yeah. So we kind of connected then, and we became pretty good friends at that point, and had investigated on and off. And then we both ended up not really investigating with teams, and so we were teaming up all the time. And
well, that's kind of like when I got started in the paranormal. I'd had experiences all through my life and seen things driving over the road that couldn't explain. So Pastor Gary was also the planning zoning commissioner for Caldwell County at the time. And a paranormal group, Dusk to Dawn, out of Kansas City, called up the courthouse and wanted to investigate it and everything, because it was built in 1898. It was the third one. The other two burnt down. So they said, okay, they'd let them investigate it. Well, they asked Pastor Gary, somebody from the courthouse has to be with them in the courthouse when they're doing an investigation. So he asked me to come along. And I said, yeah, that'd be great. I'll go see what this stuff's all about. Because as far as investigations go, all I'd ever seen was ghost adventures, ghost hunters, all this stuff. I said, I want to go see what this is all about and
What it's really like.
it can. So we get down there, meet the group, real nice group and everything. And Jimmy, the head guy, we were up in the jury room setting up their equipment, their TV, their cameras, and everything. And me and him are standing in there, and the door to the jury room is over halfway open. You could see both sides of the doorknobs, right? And we're just sitting there talking, and I look at that door, and he looks at the door at the same time, and the doorknobs are moving.
Mm-hmm.
And I went, did you see that? And he goes, doorknobs. And I went, okay. Yeah, this is going to be a fun night. So anyway, we heard a lot of stuff, seen a lot of stuff, learned about equipment that night. They came back up and showed us their evidence. Then they came back up again to investigate it. We was with them and stuff. And the third time they came up, they were driving up 60 miles to investigate it, right? And Jimmy looked at me and Pastor and said, you guys need to start your own paranormal team. And I said, really? He says, yeah. Everything we have seen and experienced in this courthouse, you guys didn't get scared one bit. And you always go to check and see what made that noise, why it's doing that, and everything. And I said, okay, you guys can investigate and do the courthouse. So I created CC Paranormal Team, Caldwell County Paranormal Team. And me and Gary's been on it. And that's basically how we got started. And that was, my God, what, 8, 9 years ago.
We were just talking to a couple at the fair we were at last weekend, and they were asking a lot of questions about our investigations and what we do and the experiences we've had. And she's just like, you're so brave. All these things that happen, you go check it out, and you hear a sound, and rather than running away from it, you go see what it is, and it's like, that's what you do. If you hear a sound, you have to research, where did that come from, and try to figure out if there's a natural explanation. Because like the squirrel cage jail that we were at a week and a half ago, we had actually split up, and so we were all on different levels. So we had the 2 people that were with us that were down in solitary, and then I was sitting on 2nd floor by myself, and Chris had gone up to the 4th floor, which was where the family lived. And there was one point that I hear Chris open and close the door upstairs and footsteps coming down, and I'm like, okay, well, he must have decided he was done, and he's heading downstairs. But the steps didn't last long enough to get down to 2nd floor, and he didn't come in. He did, and I'm like, well, where did he go? And our DVR system that we have luckily allows us to like talk to each other through the cameras. So I kind of talked to him. I'm like, hey, are you coming down from the floor? And he's like, no, that wasn't me. So
which kind of security cameras are you guys using?
It's a Wise brand.
Yeah, they're nice, inexpensive, high quality, gives a great picture.
The IR, like, not just the light put out, but actual like capture is also fantastic on them.
Yep.
Oh, really?
They learned it from me. Because I actually got on the ground floor of Wise when they first come out. And I've got I got 4 originals that have been on the outside of my house for, gosh, I don't know. Got to be close to 4 years, 5 years.
Yeah. I think it was a weird coincidence too, because I had just been researching cameras and I came across this one, and what I liked about it is it said that it would have like color recording even in the dark. And I'm like, well, that's interesting, and I could go and I could look at the video and see that, it was really good night vision quality. And then, come to find out that's what Rex has for his security system. And we've got another good friend of ours that the first time we went out to use them, he's like, oh yeah, that's what we use too. Here, let me show you how to get these all set up. And they're used out there more than we realized. But
because I just bought 2 of the new V3 outdoors, and what like you said, it's really cool. The IR records in color.
Yep, and that's what we've got is the V3s.
I have the original V1s.
Yeah.
You know, but they still work
Yeah.
amazingly.
Yeah, and we got one and we tried it out first and really liked the results, so we quickly bought more, and we're just going to keep adding to those and
Well,
make
that's
it so we can
good.
never get through all the data we have.
How far a range do they have for your wireless?
For the wire, so the nice thing about these cameras is that they will record nonstop. So there's a memory cord that's in the camera, so even if you're not connected Wi-Fi wise, it's always recording. So
These are the type of cameras you can control with your phone, right?
you can.
Right.
So that's where the Wi-Fi aspect of it comes in. So if you are a place that you have Wi-Fi, then yes, you can actually pull up each one of the cameras through the application on your phone and be able to watch it real time what's going on, and you'll get your notifications that there was motion sensed, or and they'll take a snap of it if there was motion. So you can have that Wi-Fi aspect of it, but the nice part of it is if you are in a location that you don't have Wi-Fi, you still can use those cameras because it's still recording the data full time.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, but now are they like we've got a set of regular Wi-Fi cameras and everything with a DVR that records to the DVR. Now they pick up wireless signal between that DVR and that camera. They don't have to have the internet.
Yeah, neither do these.
Okay, then take your tablet. If you got a Windows 10 tablet, download BlueStacks.
And that's one that'll let you watch the multiple screens. Yeah, I know that it'll do that. We just haven't ever.
That way you can control them on there too.
As far as like stopping and starting them.
Yeah, because BlueStacks is Google Play.
Yeah.
Where you download the app. You can move your mouse, and if your cameras are able to move in different position, you can turn it in position and manipulate it in different ways.
Yeah. So these cameras don't move, but we have the ability to like stop and start and record certain sections if we wanted, or play back immediately if we wanted to.
Yeah, I'm looking in the ones that move.
Yeah.
The ones that are shaped kind of like this microphone.
Yeah.
And everything's got the camera built into it, and then they move on your phone.
Mm-hmm.
We can use them on our tablets now and control them and zoom in.
Yeah.
And zoom out. And we can talk microphone in and out.
Yeah. I think we can zoom in and out on these. We just can't move it from side to side, but that's okay because quite often those are our cams.
Yep. That's the one move.
Oh, is that what it is? Okay.
Yeah, this one moves. Yep.
That one moves.
Yes, and you can rotate it 180 degrees, and then you can the camera you up and down and left and right on it too.
Oh,
this is wise.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. What we like about it and looking at it is we can put a camera in the room and run echo box and a tape recorder in there and then talk through the microphone while we're recording and not even in the room.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Use that for general communication on occasion and other nefarious purposes.
Yeah.
The crap out of
I can imagine, but yeah.
Christopher, you remember this?
That was back when I had hair.
That was August 13th, 2016, our first event with Kelly.
Oh, 2016?
Yep. It's all time and date stamp at 5:53 in the afternoon.
Yeah, I would have thought it was longer ago than that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I did too.
It had to have been longer.
Okay.
It's hard.
Jane's got a question here. Have any of you guys see a spirit right up at you? So, do you see any spirits around any of us on the cameras?
Like right this second? No.
Oh, okay. I think that's what Jane was asking in there. Now, Denise's ability is she can look through and tell how many spirits are behind me, behind Rex, behind you guys.
And I believe we both have that ability if there's spirits that are there, but
if they're wanting you to see them. Yeah.
Right.
spirits aren't always there. I mean,
No.
they come and go just like people do. So it's not like if you have family members that hang around you with you, that they're there 24/7. They're gonna
Right.
pop in, say hello, and leave just like everybody else. So.
Yeah, that's kind of like ever since I've done the show, and either on the front porch here where I'm at, or in the back room where I have a studio too. At any given time, there's between 11 and 17 spirits that travel through here when I'm doing a show. We've had that commented on us before. Okay. And Dave asks, what has been your scariest moment, even though you go into an investigation not fearful? Baby kitty photo bomb.
Yeah, he was just in here.
Go ahead.
I don't know. That's a tricky question for me because.
Must be nice.
So
Hey,
the
Pastor Gary.
Hi, Pastor Gary.
So, mine is hands down. I know what mine is, and I will preface the story by saying that I understand how ridiculously fantastical this sounds. And if someone else told me this story, I would probably go, sure, that's how that happened. I swear on my children's life, this is exactly what happened. We're at Malvern Manor, and we had just arrived. There were 4 of us that were there, 3 or 4 of us. I can't remember if Jared was there or not, but we just arrived. We're going to start getting cameras all set up. And like I said, I like to do a walkthrough of a location first. So I had walked down the hallway towards the front door, and I looked down the long hallway towards the nurse's station. And for anybody who's been to Malvern, it's a really long hallway. And as I looked down there, I saw the light at the end of the hallway change. And so I stopped just because I wanted to see, did the plastic come off the windows? Is it a tree moving outside? What's making that light difference so we can note it for later for the investigation? So I'm standing there, and as I'm looking down this hallway, I've got my back against the wall looking down towards the nurse's station. I see this typical Hollywood horror movie little old lady. She stands all of 5 foot tall. She's in her long white nightgown. She looks like she had her gray hair up in a bun, but she had let it down because it's got the little gray scraggly. I mean, cliche horror movie. That's what you'd expect, right? She peeks out around the corner of the nurse's station at me, and it's gone, just in and out. And I'm like, oh, that was fun. You know, so I'm standing watching, and a couple of minutes later, here she does again, and she peeks out again. Now, she's not saying anything as she's peeking out around, but she continues to peek out just super quick. But every time she does it, I can feel her energy changing. And it's just getting a little bit more aggressive. So the first time it's like, oh, there's someone there. And that's like, well, she's still there. Why is she standing there? She can go away now. You need to leave now. It's time to leave. And it's just getting more and more aggressive. So I don't know how many times this happened before she finally leans out, and this time she doesn't duck back behind the wall. She's just leaning out. She's staring me down. And I'm like, okay, let's see where this goes, right? So I'm staring down the hallway at her. She's staring up the hallway at me. And in the blink of an eye, she drops down on all 4 and horror movie crawls up that hallway towards me. Split second. I mean, that's a long hallway. You've been to Malvern.
Yeah.
How long that hallway is. Second of time span, and she was almost on top of me. And it's like, I still get goosebumps every time I tell this story. She's coming up this hallway faster than I can breathe. And I always thought frozen in fear was just a term that people used. Oh no, that's a real thing. Because my brain did not engage. I'm standing there, she's coming at me, and at the last second, my brain is like, move, you idiot. And I take off. So I don't know what would have happened if I had stayed there and she'd gotten to me, but hands down the scariest experience I've ever had.
Now, that's the first description of that spirit I've heard at Melbourne.
I've never seen her since, never heard of her before, have never heard of anybody else experiencing this. It was one time.
And some may wonder, so anybody not familiar with Malvern, there's a particular spirit in there named Gracie.
Yep.
And Gracie is clinically fascinating because Gracie was a documented person. They have all the paperwork and everything. Diagnosed with dissociative identity disorder, so she had that split personality, and 13 distinct personalities. So that's
A lot.
what if that was 13 distinct spirits just kind of trapped in a single human body? And once the body leaves, did those spirits all just kind of and like take off like blowing on a dandelion? Like, what if like nobody's really seen her because that's one of Gracie's less seen personalities floating through the place?
And what if I was the lucky one who got to see that because she just doesn't like me, you know?
Now, she don't usually like women.
No.
But she loves him.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Gracie's got
I usually go in that room once when I'm up there. And after that, I don't go in there and everything. Because she has grabbed my leg and everything up there. And I was like, okay, this is enough in this room. I'll stand at the doorway if you want to come out. But the only one I haven't that everybody talks about is the giant spirit, the
Shadow
giant guy in there.
Shadow Man.
Yeah, the shadow man that
Boy,
chases you
just
down the
a teddy
hallway.
Yeah. He's a big boy, but he's just a teddy bear.
I'll go away down a teddy bear, but
He is, if you're
it's
not mean and
understood.
aggressive
It's
towards him.
understood, but teddy bear. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I suppose anybody who can get that aggressive maybe should
It's
get
not
a
a
teddy
teddy
bear title. But if you treat him
And what'd you
well-
get up? What'd you get up by the rape rooms?
I've never gotten anything on rape from anything around there.
Yeah, it's. Yeah, I don't know because I don't want to.
And I don't know if that's a documented thing either.
I don't know if it is. It's one of the stories that went through the nursing home from people that used to work there. So I don't know. But I know we get a lot.
Yeah.
Oh,
get-
yeah, no. If you're talking about the two guys, that wasn't rape.
Oh, okay. But what have you gotten upstairs in the attic?
So the attic's funky, and it kind of depends on the timing. Whatever, there was a brief period where whatever was in there, I at least have experienced the last couple times I've been to Malvern. So I guess for context and my general nonchalant addressing something like this, it's not human, or what at the time I was experiencing wasn't human, but I feel like there's also I'm a shamanic practitioner, so I deal with non-human spirits on a pretty regular basis.
Right.
And yeah, so whatever what was is, I don't know if it's just gotten docile, if it's not the same
Right.
thing anymore. It wasn't human. It wasn't
A demon.
original to the manor. It could be definitely be perceived as negative because what I got out of it was something very,
Aggressive.
and not even necessarily aggressive, but animalistic in nature. You back
that's
an
fair.
actual animal into a corner, it's going to behave like an animal does. And I think that was the position it was being put in on a pretty regular basis.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, whoever's up, what is the regular,
I can't think of his name.
what is his name?
I can't think of his name. The guy that's typically up there, but the guy that's typically up there is different from this other energy
Yeah.
that Chris was just talking about. And we've both experienced that energy. And like he said, it doesn't feel human. It's not a demon. It's not fun necessarily, but I do think that it's calmed down a lot. I mean, the last
Yeah.
few times that we've been there, I think we both still feel it.
But it's
but
not a frequent
not-
thing.
Yeah.
It used to be I didn't like going in the attic, period, because you have those walls on either side and they're hollowed out, and it would actually like hang out in that area. And
Mhm.
at any given point, I was terrified of seeing it because. So me and Malvern actually have a kind of weird relationship. I have dreamt a lot of stuff about Malvern
Yeah,
before
that's
ever
right.
actually going there. I was able to describe Kelly perfectly, the hall leading from Shadowman hallway to the nurse's wing before actually going there.
Mhm.
The thing that's in the area I actually dreamt about before it was, I guess you could say, transplanted there.
Mhm.
In very weird detail, I guess. It was froggy in shape, but had flesh tone like human skin and no neck, but the eyes are sunken in and kind of pointy teeth. It sounds a lot more horrific than it was, but
animalistic is a great definition.
It behaves like an animal does.
Feral.
Yeah, feral. As far as I'm kicking myself because I should know who's the name of the guy who's up in the attic when they leave smokes and booze for, because I feel like I can relate to this man.
I know I can't think of his name and what they call him up there, but we was up in the attic, and like I said, I used to have the computer set up with the Xbox 360 on it. Well, I also had one for my Windows 10, the Xbox One, set up there. It would pick up 6 stick figures instead of 2, right? So we've got a group of people up there, and of course, when we're up there, it's colder and all get out outside, so you can see your breath and everything. And I have 5 people standing up there, and they're talking to the echo box and everything. And all of a sudden, in between them is a little bitty stick figure, right? So Pastor Gary asked, he was one of them there. He asked, because I told him there was a spirit there, a little one. One of the girls' hands were like ice. She was cold because it was cold up there. So he asked that spirit, she said, put her hand down there and asked that little spirit to warm her hand up. In just a couple of minutes, she brought her hand up and everybody felt her hand and it was hot. Mm-hmm. So we had that one, and then me and Pastor Gary was up there standing, and you got that one, when you go up the stairs and you look straight to the back, you got a doorway there. Mm-hmm. On the flat wall, there was a stick figure back there that was over 7 foot tall up there with us. So a lot of different things, but Melbourne, like you said, it used to, you could feel something was in there that wanted to converse or talk. The last time we was up there, I didn't feel like it was like that anymore.
Yeah, Melbourne almost it's one of those locations that almost depends on the night. I know Kelly most of the time gets stuff, but yeah, I've had some kind of quiet nights on.
You have to think about the number of times that I've been.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I've got to be pushing 40 times that I've been in Melbourne. So.
Then the big story at one time at Melbourne is when they found the bones.
Yeah.
Underneath the floor.
Yeah.
And stuff. So, but yeah, when we go up there, like I said, we stay overnight. Mm-hmm. We pitch tents inside the building and stay in the tents. So we've been up there when it's been over 100 degrees, and we've been up there when it was snowing.
Yeah. I have been there when I have frozen my little hiney off, and times that I thought I might spontaneously combust.
Yes. And that's just Melbourne Manor.
But it's just fun. I mean, but I've also been there when the weather's been great. But yeah, they've got their pretty normal array of spirits that are there. But I think that Malvern too maintains a little bit of that hotel quality that it used to have, because there have been spirits that come and go. And
what is the strangest place you've ever investigated?
If we had to go off of just general strange, eclectic, semi-chaotic energy, probably the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum.
Oh.
That was one of those where we're looking at dates for like a definite overnight. So the day we went, normally the day tour for at least the paranormal tours, Trans-Allegheny is what, an hour?
I think hour and a half, yeah.
Something like that. And we were in there pushing 3 hours because we were the only people on the tour.
It was the best. She comes down, and we had been told kind of where to wait. So we're waiting, and the tour guide comes out. She's like, "Are you Chris and Kelly?" And we're like, "Yeah." She's like, "You guys need to come with me." And I'm like, "Oh, crap. We weren't where we were supposed to be." And she's taking us to the rest of the group. And she starts heading into the building. And I'm like,
around with the tour guide, and it was like, if you guys want information, I can give it to you. If not, I can let you run around. And I think we were in there for about 3 hours, and it's just weird energy. Like, I've been to plenty of places like Malvern, like Edinburgh Manor, where it's been a home for like the mentally indigent. And don't get me wrong, there's been some very mentally unwell people, but something about Trans-Allegheny, I don't know if it's the concentration of people who were just
the cases
mentally frayed, or the specific cases, or the procedures done on them, but it was just a weird, chaotic energy. We were up in the alcoholics unit, and at one point we were certain we were hearing people come up. It's like, oh crap, there's another tour behind us. Do we need to get going?
Keep in mind, we're like an hour and a half past where our
right.
tour was
at this point already. And we're like, oh crap, do we need to like get going? There's another tour coming,
group is coming.
And she's like, you can tell on her face, she's concerned because
we turned to look to her, and her face is kind of like,
there was no other tour coming. It was just the sounds, and we were there was at one point we get to the basement, and we're walking down, we're checking out rooms, and I start getting this weird pain in my eye, which is like, it's weird. I assumed like I had gotten like a paint fleck or something in there, so I'm digging at the corner of my eye, and it's irritating me. It's almost giving me a bit of a headache. And it turns out this is the area that they've been doing a couple hundred ice pick lobotomies a day. Weird things like that. So as far as like funky energy places, Trans-Allegheny's got to be up there for me.
Yeah, that's kind of the worst one we've had. Well, I won't say worst one, the weirdest investigation we were invited on. Me and Pastor Gary were up at the Sally House doing the tours up there on a Saturday because Denise and Ron were at McPike Mansion over in Illinois. So we're up there doing that. We get done at, let's see, we started at 1 and went until 4, locked it up, closed it down, drove down to Kansas City, to downtown middle of Kansas City on Main Street, to an old abandoned hospital, right? There's three other groups there that night and stuff. So we get there, walk inside, and, are we late? Nope, we're just getting ready to get started. And I went, okay. They go, but first of all, we got to go clear the building. And I went, clear the building? What the hell are you talking about? And he goes, each one of us groups, somebody's got to have a gun with them. And I went, what are we doing? Shooting spirits? And they go, no, we're running the druggies and other people out of this building. And I went, oh, shit. Okay. So we go up. Of course, we didn't find nobody. But I'm walking by a couple of these rooms, and I look in the rooms, and I go, hold it, guys. We got to get chairs to block these doorways. There were piles 3 foot tall of hypodermic needles. Right? I found 2 rooms like that. And I went, nobody is going in them rooms at all. And stuff. So that was a whole weird investigation. We did that twice before they decided we weren't going to investigate there anymore. Because this old hospital was bought by a big group of people, and they were converting it into condos. So they were building at one end while we're investigating in the other end. And I'm going, yeah, you guys can build in here. You never know what you're going to have when you get all these built. Because there was some weird stuff going in there.
Jane had a question for me.
Yeah.
The biggest, well, of course, Waverly Hills was huge, but I think the biggest one that I've been on was with Chris and I when we did the Dead End road trip. I mean, we went to 11 different states,
Yeah, we cut through 11 different states. It was 7 days, 8 locations, like close to 3,000 miles.
Wow.
Yeah. It would, and actually, we talked about doing one. We wanted to go to New York and do a road trip there. I mean, we talked about it a couple of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That was amazing. I mean, what we accomplished in that time was great. And then once we got back, we had like worked one day, and then Kelly had an event. So we packed up and go to the event. Come to find out, Chris and I are spent. I mean, we're done. We get set up on Friday night, and the next thing we know, we're with Ghost Crier as being one of the teams to help, and I can't remember up on the hill in Renwick Manor. Yeah. So we ended up doing that. So we actually did 9 investigations, and we did one right after we got back home because we only worked one day and turned around and went to the event, and then that night was doing Renwick.
Right.
Yes.
It was a lot of fun.
Now, I'd like to do that is take a week or 2-week tour through Louisiana and investigate places down there. Because you get down in New Orleans and Baton Rouge, there's a lot of places to investigate.
Yeah.
There's a lot of voodoo down there.
Kind of did something like that was it last May?
A couple of years.
Yeah, we hit the Duff Green Mansion, Oak Alley Plantation, Vicksburg Battlefields. We were in the New Orleans area.
Yeah, don't get us wrong, it was vacation too, but we had a lot of haunted stops along the way, because what's vacation without a few ghosts, right? But
Dave's
Chris,
got a question up there for you. What was one of the comical things that stand out in an investigation?
Don't film yourself when you're sleeping.
it seems like we're always doing something stupid.
Hey, that's part of a paranormal investigation. You got to have jokes in there and funny things happen, or it gets too damn boring.
So I think one of the funny things that actually just came out in the documentary that we had on Friday.
You're welcome.
So we were at Renwick Mansion, actually. So Renwick is this old limestone mansion that's on the top of a hill in Davenport, Iowa. I had found that location 2016, 2017, I think, and talked to the owners into letting me come in and host a public event there. But we filmed a documentary for that. And during this investigation, we decided that we're going to do isolations. So Chris is up in the cupola doing his investigation, and I'm on the 3rd floor. And while I'm waiting for him, I'm still focused, trying to talk to the spirits, investigating. My isolation comes up after his. What did you do during mine?
I made snacks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we're watching back the footage, trying to review everything, and I'm like, I'm interested to see what he did. He had snacks. He shared mangoes with spirits. He went to the bathroom with the camera right outside the door. That was interesting. Yeah.
I was gonna say I've got the things that I've experienced for some reason is always like a reflection. It's like when I go back to like review footage, it was funny to go back and watch. So I've got a digital recorder that I wear as a wristwatch, and I'm at this location called Bango's Haunted Crib. It's outside of Storm Lake, Iowa, and it's actually like haunted attraction. So like October time, people jump out and scare you. But they've been having claims where like the actors who'd be hidden away in their little slicks throughout the building feel somebody press up against them, and there's no room for another person this slick. Or you go in and there's this general waiting area, and at the end of the process, it's a newer attraction, so they're taking feedback like, oh, what was cool for you? And they're like, oh, that little girl that ran through in the waiting area is pretty neat. And, they don't hire children actors,
right.
Stuff like that. Anyways,
right.
went up to do like one of the initial investigations of the place, and I'm wearing my wristwatch recorder, and it's all good throughout the investigation. And then I had to pee, and I remember sitting there listening to audio, and I couldn't tell what was happening. I just heard, and it was me getting into my camper. I heard, which is the bathroom door shutting, and then on full volume, I heard myself take a piss, and that was pretty hilarious to me for some reason. I've got footage of myself being terrified by a walnut. I'm at Spook Haven Campground, which is northeast Iowa, and it's walnut season up there, and I'm in a camping chair, and I'm down by a fire, and I'm just like conducting a general EVP session in an area where a old railroad town had been washed away. And it happened in maybe a matter of 2 frames. It's me, very calm, very relaxed, in my camping chair. This walnut falls, and then I am completely out of frame.
Oh, really?
Like maybe 3 inches behind me. Like the fact it didn't graze my chair was incredible.
I think probably one of the funniest, not just for me, but the people that I was with, was actually at the Sally house. For whatever reason, going from the dining room into the kitchen, there was like this barrier there for me. And the first time that I was there and I walked through it, I felt it. It kind of like literally rebounded me a little bit. And I thought about it. I was aware of it, kind of worked through it probably because you weren't supposed to go into that area. That was his office, whatever. But I'd forget throughout the night. And we'd be upstairs investigating, or we'd be someplace else investigating, and it'd be break time, and Kelly's got to go potty. So she comes running down and goes to go through that doorway, and boom, I'd bounce off that thing over and over again. Because I forget every time, but it's like I walked into a wall, and just, it's lucky I didn't land on my butt any of the times.
So if you hop on the All Out Paranormal Facebook page, we have a gag reel. This is pulled from previous documentaries and stuff that we've been working on. It's like 3 seconds of the whole 7-minute thing, which is an absolutely ridiculous amount of time to be fucking around, but that was us. We were at a place called the Old School Saloon, and it's this GoPro footage, and you just walk. I'm pretty sure Dad holding the camera. He cruises around the corner. The bathroom door opens. My brother's coming out of the stall. Dad goes, ah! And my brother lets out this ah! And his fucking giant mitt hands go flying up, and this prepubescent squeal comes out. That was good.
That was funny. And another one on the gag reel was when we were doing the documentary at Edinburgh. And we made a whole bodysuit of you.
Oh gosh,
oh,
yes.
My so this one wasn't just funny. We were I think we caused some people genuine concern.
Yeah, we did.
So I was working on a documentary, and I wanted to do a reenactment, and that reenactment involved a swan dive from a 3rd-story balcony, and I got online. I'm like, how do I get a crash test dummy cheap? And there was none of that. And I found this alternative link where it was like, hey, what you can do is wrap your whole body in duct tape, cut yourself.
I'm trying to find the picture
and fill that. So that's what I did. I somehow found this. At the time, I had very Kurt Cobain looking hair, so we threw a Kurt Cobain wig on it and painted its face a peachy color, and we tossed it off a 3rd-story balcony at Edinburgh Manor. What we didn't know is that there was a car going by at the time.
Oh, crap.
So all they saw was my dad committing what they assumed to be a murder, because his dad up on the balcony. I'm down for some reason filming this, and I was laying down, so I don't even think they saw me. I was trying to get a good angle. And Dad tosses this thing, and we see it go over. We see it hit the ground, and I see red tail lights just immediately. And the cops never showed, so I think we were.
You can actually hear the tire squeal to a stop in the video. It was so funny.
Please grows up.
One of the best times I'd heard, like I said, at Sally House, Ron Pridemore was down in the basement with a group of people. And there was a kid there out of college with his 11-year-old brother downstairs. There's like about 15 of them in that basement. They got the echo box going, it's talking and blah, 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 blah. These three ladies come down the stairs. This is during the tour during the daytime. These three ladies come downstairs. One of them stands on the concrete floor. The other two are on the steps. And as soon as they got down there, the echo box shut up. It wasn't saying nothing. Everybody's in there going, is it broke or what? And Ron resets it, shuts it off, redoes it, still nothing. And everything. Does it a third time, turns it on, nothing. It's not saying a word. He's checking his speaker and everything. This one lady's got her arms crossed like this and goes, I don't believe in this shit. They go up the stairs. As they go up the stairs and start to get out of sight, the echo box goes, bye, bitches. This little kid goes, it said, and his brother went, yes, it did. And everybody down there is dying laughing. I mean, they said that couldn't have been planned. That was just perfect timing there. So, Ron, he loves telling that story. That is one of the most funniest things we have ever seen. And I was up there one night and with a group that came in, we were invited to stay there all night with them. And the Pickmans showed up, Tony and all them. Mm-hmm. So Tony went downstairs. We had the SLS placed on him on the floor. So you see his stick figure sitting on the floor. Then you see a stick figure on the wall. And as it comes down, I'm not telling him anything. I got people standing behind me watching, and I told him to be quiet. And just as it comes down, you see it get right to his shoulder, right? And just as it touches it, he goes, ouch. We turned the lights on, raised his shirt up, and he had teeth marks in his shoulder. So that was one of the coolest things I'd ever caught.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's with them, something's always interesting. We'll put it that way. I've seen a lot of stuff that's happened to them that I wonder about sometimes. But any more questions, Rex?
I'm trying to find the video of Shane screaming.
He's looking on his phone where there's 9 million videos on there, folks.
Yeah, AOP has just a ton of them.
We'll have to put your gate reel at some point because, like, the cameras were still running when I said something to you at Squirrel Cage. You jumped pretty good at that one too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, while he's looking for that, I'm going to play a short video on the screen and then we'll be right back. This is a Paracon coming up in October. Well, that wasn't the video. What am I doing? That was their giveaway. Oh, I don't have the video on here. Oh, let me go over to this one. And now I'll go. That's a friend of ours, David Glidden, putting on a Paracon down there in Joplin, Missouri, October 7th and 8th. We'll be down there along with Ron and Denise Pridemore will be down there. Katie Stafford and Katie Stafford will be down there. A lot of them from up in this area. We're going down.
Yeah, that's actually one we're not able to attend. So I, along with my mother, host several expos, like we've mentioned a few times here throughout Iowa throughout the year. They're called the Psychic and Paranormal Expos, and we have our Ames event on October 8th and 9th. So we'll be in Ames hosting that Psychic and Paranormal Expo that weekend. So, yeah.
Okay. Make me a short video about your events. And on our shows, we play short commercials like that all the way up.
Yeah.
That way, because we have listeners everywhere that go to a lot of the Paracons. So
see what we can get thrown together.
Yeah.
It's not probably going to be in the next few days because we take off tomorrow night for the UP for 5 days. But we'll see what we can do.
yeah, just make a short one up whenever you get a chance to, and put the dates and times and how they can get a hold of you on there, and
Yeah, absolutely.
we'll share it out. That's what we got to do in this para-unity field out here, is get more groups together instead of everybody arguing and fighting back and forth like it was.
We would get so much better if everybody just kind of focused on what they're doing versus worrying about what everybody else is doing.
That's it. Because if everybody did the same thing, it would be boring as all get out here doing investigations. Everybody's got to do something different, because you never know when that one time is really going to prove something really, really good.
Definitely.
You know, we all think outside of the box in the paranormal field, or you should be thinking outside the box, doing different things. Like you guys experiment with different things. We do the same thing. And that's just like me and Ron found a way by accident at the Sally House doing tours up there. We always used Echo Box 3 up there. And we both were in the same room with Echo Boxes going side by side. They started talking to each other back and forth.
Yeah.
We call that dueling Echo Box. So I'm going to try that with necrophonics next time and see if we can get that going on that one. Have you found the video?
Yep. I've got it set, or I'm just turning to walk into the bathroom. Hopefully you can see it. Whoops. Let me get it. Come on.
Get your finger over there.
The other left.
Up a little bit.
Oh,
Like I said, folks, you got to have fun investigating, and the fun and snacks are the two main things.
snacks are absolutely required.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if you don't have the snacks, it's not a real paranormal investigation. We'll put it that way.
Yeah, we always look like
Oh, like somebody let a 9-year-old
graders,
loose
yeah.
with $100.
yeah. Somebody turned us loose at a candy store before we take off to an investigation. The caffeine.
Yeah, Jane, I'd love to go to the UK and find spirits over there. And that's something that we will be doing here on the Billerites Network. Luke is over in Wales, the UK. He's going to take his phone out and start going to Castle and do a live virtual investigation with us on there. And this one cemetery, really cool looking cemetery, up on the hill, the two biggest headstones are World War I soldiers with the same name. But there's no evidence of them ever being in that town. So,
And then you've got that Men in Black guy, kind of shows up same time every year.
yeah.
To go to the graves.
A gentleman shows up the same time of the year, pulls up in a black, what did he
Escalade.
say? Escalade that they can't get in the UK. When he gets out, black suit, black tie, black glasses, and has the American flag on his lapel. And he goes up and whitewashes these headstones and cleans them up and trims around them, leaves, goes to the airport, and flies back to the United States once a year. He's about 40 years old.
And nobody knows anything
who
about
it
it.
is. So he's trying to figure that, and remember the day he shows up, he's going to go out and try to catch him on camera and find out. Yeah, Pastor Gary's reminding me when we was at the courthouse in Kingston with Dusk to Dawn. One group was up in the courtroom. The other group was in the other building of the old jail. And we had two spirits on the echo box accusing each other of robbing the bank. That was hilarious. They were radioing what they would say, and then we'd hear the other one up here say something. And going back and forth, it was like they're blaming it on each other. Well, that was awful funny. And Jane had heard about that too over there. She's in the UK. So, well, we got about 8 more minutes left on this show. What else you got, Rex?
I'm honored to have these two on. Of course, Chris and I have known Kelly at the same time. We've done a lot of events together, done a lot of investigations, and I'm hoping after the first of the year that stuff gets straightened out, because I want to go on an investigation with them. But right now it's just I'm not an asset, I'm a hindrance. And I'm a liability. I mean, the legs are better with the braces I have on, but I still have to figure out
to walk around and do an investigation that way.
And I mean, I'm more mobile now, but it's still, isn't like when I was 16.
But as we all know, I mean, a lot of the locations that we'll go walk around, the floors aren't even, and the steps are slanted, and
there's always stairs.
Yeah, there's crap all over the floor. So I mean, I get it. I'm more cautious now too. I've got a bad knee, and I've got to watch where I'm walking. And there's areas that's like, you guys have fun. I'm going to stay down here with floors flat, and
Right. But Chris and Kelly, tell everybody where they can find you and your podcast and any events coming up.
Yeah, so you can find us anywhere on social media. If you just look up Traveler's Moon, that's probably the best place. I think it's Instagram and TikTok is at Traveler's Moon Para is the handle. There's travelersmoonpara.com because apparently Traveler's Moon is a not uncommon name to call things. So there's that online, geographically speaking, and we're kind of in our busy season, so my brain is all swirly.
Well, you can
so this
we are also out on YouTube.
Yes.
Traveler's Moon, and that is where you can go and find the documentary that was just released last Friday on Renwick Mansion. It's a full-length documentary that we put a lot of our heart and soul into. You want the schedule?
So schedule. I know this upcoming weekend, you're going to find us at the MI Paracon up in Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan. The weekend after that, we're actually not going to be at an event. We've got a wedding to go to, but it takes up one day, which means we're going to find a way to use the other day to fill with something. After that, we're going to be in Mattoon, Illinois for the Silicon event, and that's a big combination of paranormal, anime. I think the last time we were there, they had set up like a professional wrestling ring. Very cool event in the middle of a mall.
We actually don't head home from that. We head from there to Randolph County Asylum.
Randolph County Infirmary.
I can never remember the name of that place for whatever reason.
This is why we let me say it.
Right. And then we just have a little local show that we'll be doing after that. And then on September 24th, we actually have our next public event, which will be held at Edinburgh Manor, which is one of the locations that's absolutely near and dear to our heart. It's the place that Chris locked himself in for 5 days alone, and that's the location he wrote his book about, Fear and Fascination at Edinburgh Manor. Yep. But we, after the book came out, we got a lot of questions of, we want to investigate there with you guys. So we have a public event on September 24th that we do still have a few tickets left. We get to come out, spend the night out there with us. We'll have all the equipment. And yeah, just get an opportunity to.
And if you can't hit the investigation, we are working in tandem with the actual Edinburgh tours during the day. So during the day, there's going to be tours at 1 and 3. Each are, an hour-long tour?
Yep.
In the meantime, I'll actually be located somewhere in the manor. I'm thinking about hiding.
You're supposed to be signing
letting people find me, and I'll be doing a book signing that day too. So,
but that's a great opportunity. Like if you have kids that are kind of into the paranormal and you want them to be able to experience something, but they can't come to the actual investigation because they're still kids. A day tour is a great thing to be able to come out and be able to do a walk around during the day, and have people there with you that can kind of help keep them in a little bit safer environment. But after Edinburgh, the very next weekend, well, actually, we don't even wait to the weekend. Immediately after we've got a couple days, and we take off to go to New York. So
another super long weekend.
We are lucky enough to be very good friends with Dan Klass, who is owner of the Haunted Hinsdale House in Hinsdale, New York. So we have arranged to go out, and we'll have one day where it's a private investigation. Chris and I will be there completely by ourselves, unless Dan wants to stick around with us, which he may. But then the following evening, we are hosting a public event again at the Hinsdale House. Dan will for sure be there for that one, where you guys can come out and investigate one of the most haunted locations ever. I mean, it's got a history, guys. I mean, the land is haunted, the house is haunted, the
house has been exorcised.
Yeah. Documented exorcism of the house. There's a hanging tree on the property. There's native energy that's there. It's just so many different levels of a haunting at this place that.
But wait, there's more.
Oh, wait. We'll have one day off, supposedly to recuperate, but we're also going to go see Niagara Falls on that day off. But then the next day after that, we will go to Wildwood Sanitarium and do an investigation there as well. So
it's a busy month and a half.
And then we have another month after that where we still have things coming up before we get to finally fall over and rest. So yeah, we don't want to get bored.
Okay, Dave here asks, how often do you get physically and mentally drained from all paranormal investigations?
In regards to feeding off energy, honestly, it used to happen a lot, and it doesn't really happen anymore. A lot of my physical drainedness comes from the fact I've been staying up until 3 or 4 a.m. and then
living on
driving
caffeine and sugar.
Yeah, 6 hours either way.
Right. We just call that a paranormal hangover.
That is exactly what that is. It's a para hangover.
Yeah.
And for me, I've always been just ridiculously protective of my energy. So whether I'm doing readings for people or I'm out on an investigation, they can't touch me. I mean, we walk into locations knowing that we're going to be safe because we believe we're going to be safe. And so much of the protection that a person has to do with if they believe that they're going to be safe. If they walk in with the intention that they're going to walk out okay, you have a much higher chance of having that actually happen.
Right.
So, knock on wood, we've been very lucky. That's not to say that it's never happened. I mean, obviously, a situation at Melbourne Manor comes to mind where I let my guard down and I shouldn't have.
Right.
But, 99 out of 100, we're good. Other than the paranormal hangover from driving and no sleep.
Well, that's great. Well, our time's coming to an end. I want to thank both of you for coming on here tonight with us. Anytime you want to come on, just contact me over at the Billerites Network and you're invited in.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Oh yeah, that's no problem. We'll have to get together sometime.
Oh, yeah.
Do an investigation. But Rex, thank you for joining in, for taking Denise and Ron's spot tonight.
You're very welcome anytime.
So everybody, check out Things Network, Rising Phoenix Entertainment over there, Temple. Check out the Bill of Rights Network for all the shows. We've got a show on the network here in 59 minutes, The Conservative View with Barbara and Lorna. So stay tuned to that show. Uh, Jane, you're very welcome. Join us anytime over here. But again, I want to thank everybody in the chat room for joining us. So we will catch you all next week here on Paranormal Nation Radio, Not So Normal, because it gets crazy around here. Have a good evening.